So the question is, does a click-through rate in one campaign affect click-through rates in another campaign? Only if the two campaigns share the same keyword. The keywords within your account, their click-through rate, think of the click-through rate as being really attached to the keyword. So when you're looking at a campaign summary screen, what you're really seeing is just the aggregate of all the keywords within it. So the click-through rate is specific to an individual keyword, that if you move a keyword or have duplicate keywords in two different campaigns, they do share the same rank value. So, but the actual campaigns themselves don't affect each other. Any other questions? Let's see. Here's some. How to synthesize pay-per-click reports from AdWords for clients in our CE units. I don't feel like I can just hand over a full report and have them understand what they're looking at. Which stats do you pull out? For me, the most important information, you're right, it can be overwhelming looking at all that information. You know, if they like details, I certainly wouldn't go down to the keyword level. I would either give them reports at the ad group level or at the campaign level. The key metrics for most people are how much money am I spending, right? Everyone listen to that. What's the click-through rate? If you feel like people are interested in how many times their ads display, you might think about including impressions. But then I would include the cost per conversion if you're tracking that, because that's really the most important metric of anything in pay-per-click marketing is how much money am I having to spend to get one conversion, whatever that conversion might be. And by the way, a conversion could be someone filling out a Contact Us form or someone sending an email through your website requesting information on corporate training. Any of those things could be considered conversions, but that's the key metric. So I would say number of clicks maybe, the click-through rate, how much money you're spending, and the cost per conversion would be the things that I would share. Is there a list of, Ted asks, is there a list of negative keywords that we can reference? That's a good question. I've done some searches on Google to try to find some general, what are most people using as negative keywords. We don't have a specific list that we always use. A lot of times it relates to what the particular program is. The way I compile a list for a specific ad group or campaign is I sit down and I kind of say to myself, who do I not want? Who is not my audience that might be entering one of the keywords that I see here? And then from there, I start to say, okay, potty training. So just to do kind of loose association of words, and you can start to develop your own. So and again, we don't even have a list ourselves, but I have seen some online references that have some general guidelines of things you might choose. Where do we get started with pay-per-click? That's a good question. If you go to any search engine, you just put in the term Google AdWords, Yahoo Search Marketing, or Microsoft Ad Center. ADCENTER is one word. Any of those will take you to the pay-per-click provider's homepage, and it's free to create your account. Your ads won't start running until you put money into that account, but you can set up an account today and have ads running by probably midnight tonight. It's all online. So if you go to google.com/AdWords is a good place to get started. That's the homepage for the Google AdWords program. Let's see, do you recommend building a separate microsite with an inquiry form or just taking people directly to your site using the conversion code tracking? Generally, we tend to use the existing site and use the conversion code tracking. It's less work, and it also then you can kind of relate your pay-per-click data to your non-paid traffic to the same section of the site in Google Analytics if you're using that reporting tool, and you can segment the reports within Google Analytics to actually see how well your pay-per-click traffic is performing against your non-paid paid traffic. So for instance, you might see that the pay-per-click traffic is converting at twice the rate that the people who are clicking through to your site from just the organic listings are. So I tend to not create a whole lot of microsites specifically for pay-per-click if you can avoid it. Now, if you really need that for the tracking information, then certainly it's an option. But generally, I try to use the same site and just find ways to make that conversion code tracking work. And I've got one last question, and then we'll wrap up Jez out of here, which is what percentage of paid versus organic? I'm not sure. Could we maybe get a bit more clarification? What percentage of marketing budget, or what percentage of people click on paid ads versus organic ads? It's, Bill, if you don't mind clarifying a little bit for me, I'd be happy to answer that. In the meantime, I will say we've got some data coming out of search engines that say paid ads generally have a lower click-through rate than organic. And organic means your site just happens to show up really well because of the words and phrases you got on there and other things you do, SEO kind of stuff. We do know that non-paid ads in general have a higher click-through rate than the paid advertising. However, I've got some campaigns where we have a click-through rate at the ad group level of 10%. Now, if there's 10 organic listings on a page and 10 paid ads on the page, I'm getting 1/10 of all clicks on that ad, which means that's a pretty darn high click-through rate for that ad. So you can get a high click-through rate in pay-per-click, but generally you're going to see organic is always the way to go. If you can get into the top 2 or 3 spots without paying money per click, that's definitely the way to go. Pay-per-click is for those searches, like when someone searches on the word paralegal. Chances are your site's not going to show up in the top 10, but you can have an ad that shows up there. And then in terms of marketing budget, most people are honestly spending more money right now on pay-per-click marketing than they are on organic marketing, simply because most people, I think, still feel like organic search engine optimization has a little bit of magic wrapped up in it, and it's kind of weird to allocate budget money. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I absolutely think you should, but most organizations allocate very, very little budget money to organic search engine optimization, even though it probably has the highest return on marketing dollars of just about any marketing channel if it's done well. Because once your ad is showing up in the top 10 for a really high volume search, you pay no more ongoing money, and you're just getting dozens or hundreds of people a day, a week onto your site, and it costs you absolutely nothing. So I think that the marketing budgets for organic search optimization should be increased in most cases, but paid online marketing is probably also a bit low for most organizations. So that's it. Those were our questions. I was able to very quickly get through them all. We're about 5 minutes over. Stacy, are you on?
I am. I just wanted to thank you, John, and thank everybody for attending today. Thank you for staying on a few minutes over with all of us. Just briefly, I wanted to mention the next Marketing COP webinar we have scheduled for July 28th at 1 p.m. Eastern, where another presenter from JMH Consulting will talk about direct mail and catalog optimization. And then our final session in the Summer Shape Up series will take place on Tuesday, August 11th, and it will focus on improving conversion rates at our websites. So I do invite you to continue the conversation in our COP blog and discussion area at the connect.ucea.edu site. I know a lot of us don't really use that site, but I know if we all start talking with each other on there, it will become a better resource for everyone, so I encourage you to go over there. I also wanted you to know that I would love to hear your ideas for future webinars. We want this series to continue throughout the whole year. We usually just have our February Marketing Conference, which is coming up February 10th to the 13th in Tampa, Florida in 2010. So I want to put that on your calendars if you haven't done so already. But we want to keep doing these professional development opportunities as well throughout the year. So let me know what kind of topics you'd like to have covered, and if you would like to present content in a future webinar, let me know that as well. So thanks again. Thank you, John, and everyone at JMH, and I will talk to you all very soon.
Absolutely. Thanks, everybody.